Thanks for doing this. I wanted to know if it's necessary to have like origins and backstories for villains, for all the villains in a series of
Oh, is it ever? That was the last thing I learned. Yeah, the hero is only as good as the villain, which is why the Joker is the best villain ever, in best fixed trickster figure in any of the world's literatures.
And then he's got this confusing backstory, right? Hmm? He's got this sort of ambiguous, confusing backstory.
Well, but the last three movies, I had some brush with the movie people. I novelized one of the movies, and they said, don't give him a backstory. That was exactly the instruction I gave my writers when I was editing. Because with him, the fact that he doesn't have a backstory is the backstory.
He and Wolverine, I guess, and even Wolverine, they gave a backstory to,
Yeah.
but they got away with it for 40 years. But it,
They gave backstories to the Joker, the Red Hood.
oh, right, that's, yeah. But then that's him, right? But then he's, but then maybe not, right?
Yeah,
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Look, trying to read him. I think what you may be asking is how much, again, how much do you reveal up front? I think you need to know the backstory.
Okay.
And again,
So
how
it's
much
okay to write it and have it to myself on the
Yeah.
side for reference, so I
Yeah.
don't double back and some reader says, oh, but you said in issue 15 that his shoes were blue and that's why his mother was like, you know, just that needs to be there for.
Yeah, you should have a basic, I think, understanding of who the character is and how they came to be, even if it's a quote unquote mystery.
Yeah,
and you can always change it.
Arthur Miller, who wrote Death of a Salesman, would write out pretty complete biographies of every character in the play. Those never got on stage, but he felt he had to know these people. And sometimes actors, all they're given sometimes is the lines without any clue about who the person really is. They will write out a biography. Purely, nobody will ever see it, but it's for their own use, so they know who this guy they're playing is. There are no hard and fast rules. Sometimes the character does create himself as you think of plot needs. Okay, if he's stolen postage stamps, maybe he's a guy whose hobby is, you know, philately, and we'll put that in to give him a reason for doing this thing that the plot needs him to do. That's a way of character that does work sometimes. Otherwise, though, as Danny said, you should know what the guy is really, and especially why he's doing what he does. That's essential. With the Joker, you don't know, and that's what's scary. He probably doesn't know. He's crazy. My objection to is giving him a girlfriend is sex is way too normal for the Joker.
My book could have been finished if you didn't make me write all those backstories.
I think
She was doing the right thing.
We just ruined the relationship, Dan.
We'll move on to the next. All right, so I'll save your skin.
There'll be many graphic novels coming out of it.
So for you guys, when you're writing and you get to an action scene, or an actual fight scene, how much liberty do you give the artist to sort of figure out the gymnastics? You know, the actual, especially like Spider-Man, both of you wrote for. You know, he's flipping around, he's swinging, he's going behind things. You know, how much detail do you give the artist, or do you let the artist take over a little bit at that point?
I mean, what Denny said about the realist, sometimes yes, and especially if your artist is a writer as well, but there's usually, or there should be, unless it's 3 in the morning and you're trying to do a deadline, there should be a story point brought out by the battle and by the manner in which each character fights. So I think you should certainly say, well, the aim of this fight is to show the difference in values between Batman and the Riddler, and you know, and by the end of it, Batman should have lost because we have revenge or something like that.
Yeah, it's a large part how well do you know your artist and do you trust him? In the case of the question, my artist had a black belt in karate. So that got integrated into who the character was, that aspect of it. And I kind of like working at the choreography of fights. Some people, one of my fellow columnists in Comic Mix, Mindy, did a column on how she can't write fight scenes. It's, you know, some people can't understand poetry or ballet or whatever. But it's situational. I tend not to trust artists because, yeah, the fight has to end in a certain way and it has to fit in a certain space frame. But it's one of those things where you work it out as you're going along. You see what works.
Yeah, Kurt Busiek, the writer Kurt Busiek, he compares fight scenes in superhero comics to the songs in musical theater, where one can just have a song that's not connected because it's a pretty song, but if the song can be both a beautiful song and advance the plot and character, then you're cooking. So similar with fight scenes. That's interesting.
Look at something before Oklahoma and anything good show after Oklahoma. Those guys figured out, gee, it'd be really neat if the songs move the plot along. So they do. And Into the Woods, we saw the show recently, that guy, everything he writes, Stephen Sondheim, yeah, the music, the songs are as vital to the story as the written dialogue. So Kurt's example is perfect.